screen. Hope you can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me first get this link. Okay, the link is, I'm going to share it here. Then you help me share it in the WhatsApp group because my WhatsApp hasn't loaded yet. All right, so today we're going to cover what they call relationships in databases. Yeah. Okay, it's kinda something hard to get, but when you concentrate very well, you can understand it. Yeah. So when you talk about relationships, we mean for the things that you're storing data about. Yeah. Today's session, I want it to be so interactive as possible because I want to be sure that you've grasped the content. Yeah. So in databases, we have what they call entities, then attributes.
I think you're lagging, Mansoor.
Those two keywords
You're
to get
lagging.
them well. Entities, then attributes. Entities are things. We have entities. Pardon? Okay. I was saying we have some important
Uh, I think he has network issues.
Hello. Can you now hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I had to change the network. Airtel thought I refused to work.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, let's use the last minutes. It's not going to be too long. It's just about understanding this concept. Then we shall end there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have two keywords that I want us to talk about. There's what they call entities. Yeah, so entities are the things that you're collecting data about. For example, it can be like the database we worked on last time. It was collecting information about students. So students, or a student, that is an example of an entity. Then attributes are now like the properties or the fields that you're collecting about that particular entity. So you can give me the example basing on our students database. And we said that we have students as one entity. So who can give me attributes? Example of attributes. We've said attributes are now the field or the properties or the details about that particular entity. So Kenneth, can you give me one? Remember, fields we said are columns in database. Yeah, so considering our students database. Pardon?
What was your question?
Who can give me the examples of attributes of a student's entity? Because you said entities are like the things you're collecting information about. So if you remember from the database that we're using, it is collecting information about students. So a student or students is an example of entity. So who can give me the attributes? We've said attributes are properties or the fields or the descriptions of that particular entity. So who can give me examples? Okay, which columns did we have last time about students?
Student's phone number.
Yeah, so that is an example. Then Kenneth? Kenneth, are you there?
Like surname and first and last name.
Yeah. Then Lincoln, can you hear us and you give us one example in case your network is okay? If it is not okay, you can send a text. Yeah, so those are now examples of attributes. Then entities, we said, are the things that you're collecting information about. Now, in your database, you may reach that a database is about the whole school, and we have different entities. Yeah, so who can give me what other details can we store information about when it comes to a school? Now we've stored information about students. What else can we store information about? Suppose we're a school.
Probably
Yes.
how many students we have in the school, as in total.
How many what?
Like total of students in the school.
Okay, that is part of students. Yeah, Lincoln has said teachers. So teachers, yeah, it is also an entity. So we can collect information about students, then we can collect information about teachers. Then what else? Imagine we're a school. Which other things can we keep in our database? Okay, it can be like maybe books, like books that are being booked. So when books are brought at school, we can keep information about them. Then when students borrow them, we get to know who took those books. And when they return, you can get to know the return date. Yeah, there are very many things that you can keep information about. Yes, Mr. Adrian, it looks like you were saying something.
No, I was not. No.
Okay. Yeah, so we're just going to talk about like students, teachers, and books. Yeah, so you see those three entities, they are in one database. Like they are in one database of a school. They are all in a school database. So between them, there is a relationship. There is something that is trying to join them. Now, let me give you an example. For example, teachers and students. Yeah, you can see that one student can be taught by very many teachers. Then also, one teacher can teach very many students. So that is what we call a relationship between them. So that example is called many to many. Why? One student can have many teachers, and also one teacher can have many students. And so that one is many to many, but let's first look at these ones of one to one and one to many. Yeah, I'm going to start with one to many. If you find that, like now I'm going to give an example between students and books, like booking books from the library. One student can book many students, like many books, one or more books, yeah? But one book cannot be taken by many students. Are you following? Yeah? Yeah, for this one, in case you don't have a noisy background, you can unmute so that you can easily like respond. I want it to be interactive because we're not going to do database work. We're just going to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So a one-to-many relationship, you put one entity on your left, then another entity on your right. Yeah. So just imagine on the left, we have students. Then on the right, we have books. Those books are the ones in the library. Yeah. So we can see that one student can book more than one book. Not so, can have more than one book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is called one to many. Why? One student can have many books. That is a one-to-many relationship. Yeah. But when it comes to books, can one book be taken by many students?
No.
Yeah. So now that means now if you put the books on the left and you put students on the right, that is like one-to-one because one book can be taken by only one student.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you see two of the relationships are covered, one-to-one and one-to-many. Now, many to many, you look at both sides. If it is like now we have students on the left and teachers on the right. One student can be taught by many teachers. And again, there is variety. It's not limited to one-to-one. So that is what they call many-to-many relationship. Though for it, we shall look at it. It's a bit complex because it joins both. Because remember, we said one student can have many teachers. Then we said one teacher can teach many students. So a many-to-many relationship is a combination of one-to-many. But we're not going to go so much in detail with that. We're just going to look at one-to-one and one-to-many. Yeah, I hope it is clear. Is one-to-one clear?
No, it makes sense.
Okay, now let me ask you. Now, like on the farm, which things can you keep information about? Those are the entities. So which entities can you have?
Okay, like how many birds you have in total, and what the amount of birds that are currently laying.
Yeah. So what is the relationship between the bird and the eggs?
Well, there you have to find out which birds are currently laying and which ones are not.
Okay, like can one bird have many eggs?
Depending, because each day, each bird has to lay at least once a day. So yes.
Okay, now we just look at general. Leave alone the day. Let's look at general. One bird can have many eggs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but can one egg be laid by many birds?
No.
So you see, the other one is one-to-one, then this one is one-to-many.
Yeah.
Yes. So now those entities, remember they are entities, they have fields. So that is like a complete table in your database. So you can have a table keeping information about the bird. Like maybe that's different and keep from the bird. Then now you also go to the egg and you collect information about them. So there you end up with two different tables. Now you have to create a relationship between those two tables so that you can produce, pardon?
No.
Okay, now let me show you some examples here. Yeah, so here we have some examples. We've talked about one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So we could see from our left, we have a one-to-one relationship. That is a school and head teacher. Okay, this can depend, but now we're just going to assume that one school can only have one head teacher, and when one head teacher can only be a head teacher for one school. So that is one-to-one relationship. Then one-to-many, it can be that a school can have many teachers. Yeah, that is a one-to-many, because now we're just looking at it at one side. One school can have many teachers. Yeah, then many-to-many is now here you have the students, then the lesson. So one student can have many lessons, and again, one lesson can have different, like a number of students. Yeah, so that is a many-to-many relationship. Hope the examples are clear to you. Is the example on the left clear to you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if we go on the right, pardon?
One where it says many-to-many. What do you mean by people? Like the I part, or?
That is students.
Yeah,
it's another word for students in primary.
Okay.
Yeah. Then now on the right, we have N, take N as many. One customer can make many orders. That is a one-to-many. Yeah. Then again, many orders can be for one product. So that is like a many-to-one relationship. Yeah. So now you can sit down the entities. We have customer, then we have order, and then product.
Yeah.
So you can see that the ones down are attributes, or like the fields in a table. So in the customers table, we have customer ID, then we have name, and we have age and mobile number. Then in the order table, we have the order ID, then customer ID, then product ID. Then in the product, we have product ID, product name, price, mobile number, and date. You see that?
Yeah.
So here, actually, now this is where now it becomes a little bit tough. How do you connect now two tables together? Because now you have the customer table, then you also have the order table. Where the order, there is order ID, then it can be, here they have very few, but it can be what do they ordered for, what quantities, how much are they paying, all that. So how do you connect the two tables together? Yeah, there I use what they call foreign keys. Yeah, so what is a foreign key? A foreign key, remember I talked about a primary key. I don't know if I've ever talked about keys, but an ID is something that uniquely identifies a record into a database. So that one is called the primary key because it uniquely identifies. Like that auto number we've been seeing in Access 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
That is totally unique for each record. That is called the primary key. Yeah. So now a foreign key is a primary key of another entity in a different table. For example, when I come to the customer table, I have customer ID as the primary key because it is what is going to be unique about each customer. Then if I want to connect my customers to orders they are making, I go to the order table, even if there is already order ID, which is a primary key for the order table and other entities, then I add a customer ID column into that table. Yeah, are you getting it?
Yes.
Then that is a foreign key. So let me open, let me demonstrate it from Excel here.
Okay.
Even if we don't do it in Access. Now I have two tables. Let me first increase here. Hope you can see Excel.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so we have a students table. It's going to be for students. And it said we can use students registration number. And this one is always unique, not so?
Yeah.
It's only being had by one person. Then we can have their name, first name. Last name, then other details, like date of birth. Yeah, and other details. So this is my table. It's going to look like this. And I am. Yeah, so that is my students table. Then I have another table for books they take, that our students take. So I'm going to have this, and I call it books table. Yeah, so on the book, what do we record? We can record the book ID. Then again, it can be the book name. Then date taken, and maybe date returned. Yeah, so now I have this. Like before we make any entries, we can be having something like this. Yeah, so now our relationship, you remember our relationship. So here I can have, let me say, okay, we use A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and maybe A6. Then other details here. I'm just going to autofill this. Yeah, then the book ID for it, we can use 1, 2. Yeah, then you have a book name, which I can also just auto fill. Then date taken, I can just use maybe today or any date. Like that, I just want to fill my table, but there you'll be having correct information, but now we don't have enough time. Yeah, so now we have the students table, then we have the books table. Yeah. So we said, what is the relationship between both, between the two? One student can take many books, right?
Yeah, also can take many books.
One student can take many books. Let's use many as n. Yeah, then one book can only be taken by one student.
One
That is
person.
if you sit, yeah, if you sit from the perspective of the book. So from this side is 1-to-1 relationship, like that. So now I have two tables. Yes, which is a good practice in Microsoft Access, because just imagine a scenario that the librarian wants to know which student took which book. Yeah, but now you see we have two different tables. So how does the librarian come up with one table to merge the two? So that's where you bring in the foreign keys. And how is it done? You need to get the primary key. Here, this is a primary key, something that uniquely identifies a student, is a student's registration number. Then for the book, it's the book's ID number. Yeah. So what you do, get this all field or column, and now you add it here onto this. Yeah. So instead of having a very long table, just imagine if we are adding all the information about students here, or adding all the books information, we shall end up with a very big like table. Yeah, which is not easy to read through when you have very many fields. So all I need to know is that book ID. Now let me remove this, because this is not like, okay, I haven't saved it, but it's okay. Like here, I just have the student's registration number. So the librarian, all he should do, him or her, like I'll just look at the book. Maybe the book is called The Introduction to Programming or Introduction to Microsoft Access. The date taken, the date it should be returned. Then on students, I just have to come and know which student took that book. Is maybe student with registration number A2. So I just type in A2 instead of the student's name. So the same student can take again the same book, A2. Then maybe now this was taken by A1. Now this one was taken by A3. And this one was taken by A5. Yeah, then again A2 took another book. Yes, like that. So instead of having a one big like table, we just have this in the background. Then we use what they call queries. Like I've said today, we may not do practice. I just want you to first grasp. They are called queries in Excel, in Access. So when you do a query, you can merge these two tables, like you can produce another table, but as a result of merging these two of students and books table. So you can come up with a table showing when did which student took which book and when. But in the background, you have two tables. Yeah, and it is always a good practice to have as many tables as possible. Why? It's not good to have one huge table. There are also other details or reason as to why you don't need to do that, but those ones are a bit so technical, and I don't want us to go so much into that. Okay, Mr. Adrian is going to go off. His battery is down, but that is okay. So that's what like always avoid the table that is storing information about two entities. Like don't store two entities in one table. Yeah, so instead of having a table of students and again you join in books or teachers, separate them, then we shall look at how do you use queries to merge like to produce one table. But when it is merging, it doesn't merge all the fields. It only brings out the few fields that we need from those two tables. So here I can say, I can say while you merge in the column, the two tables, only tell me student's first name and the book they took, the book name they took, only like that. So after doing the query, we shall here have a student's name. Then the book taken. Yeah, like that. So when we do a query, it will be showing us the students. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So here we shall end up with a table showing like Keith took introduction to MS Excel. Yeah. Then it shows us that Kenneth took introduction to mathematics. Book introduction to math, like that. So we can produce as many tables. We can produce another table which is showing us just the student, then the date on which they took the book, and also maybe the date on which they returned. Like when you do this, when you join two tables together using foreign keys, you can be able to use queries to produce other tables. But when you dictate which field should be returned back. Yeah, I hope it is a bit, even if not totally clear, but I hope it is a bit clear to you.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so why is it called a foreign key here? Because it is a primary key in a different table. Yeah, so it is a foreign key here. It is a primary key in another table, but not in this table. Then that's why it's called a foreign key.
Okay, the word foreign, okay.
Yeah, that's what it means. So yeah, that is the whole concept. We're running out of time and I can't go into practice now. We shall go into practice on Monday. I show you how you create different relationships. Then again, we talk about what is next. So on Monday is going to be our last session. Yeah, unless you have any questions. But I wanted you to go back and you try to read. I know on internet, okay, it may be tough, but when you read, you'll understand it more. You go and just read about relationships between relationships in tables or in Microsoft Access. You'll find a lot of information.
Yeah.
So this is what we are going to cover today. We are going to do some like practice, but the time will not be enough. Yeah, so we're going to end here.
Okay. Thank you for.
So, Lincoln, do you have any question? Okay. Okay, your network is not clear, but as if you're saying you don't have a question.
Yeah, I said I have a question.
Okay, yeah. So tomorrow, you use your tomorrow to make research about relationships. Then on Monday, we cover them. We end the phase, but that's when we shall assign to you an exercise. Then we shall use that entire week to assess all your work and we try to aggregate all of it together.
Okay.
Yeah, then by the end of by the next weekend, we shall bring back the results and you get to know. Then
Okay.
after that, we shall communicate about phase 2. What is it about? When is it starting? What is next?
Mm.
Yeah, but I hope you guys are learning. You've learned at least something, don't so?
Yeah.
Yeah, hope you've learned something from this boot camp. I know people have problems with connectivity, data, all of that, but very many would like to attend.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
have a good night. Be safe, ensure that you're safe.
Thank you. Good night to you.
All right.